Hi, I'm Carl Azus for CNN 10. In the U.S. state of California, students at Mount St. Mary's University and NBA star LeBron James have a couple things in common. One, they live near Los Angeles. Two, they've evacuated because of wildfires. The one threatening the LA area broke out on Monday morning in a place known for expensive homes and celebrities. Mandatory evacuations were issued, meaning residents were told to leave immediately. But this is just for one fire. Two other major fires are burning in California, with powerful winds literally fanning the flames. A blaze about 25 miles northwest of downtown Los Angeles has destroyed dozens of homes. It was mostly contained, meaning blocked off as of last night, but that wasn't the case with a fire farther north near the San Francisco Bay Area. That one forced the evacuations of almost 200,000 people. And California's largest utility company shut off electricity to 965,000 homes and businesses in Northern California. It's trying to keep its equipment from causing new fires, as it's been blamed for doing in the past. Pacific Gas and Electric says another shutoff could occur on Tuesday because of another strong and dry wind event in the forecast. California's fire season is often worsened by the hot, dry winds that blow across the state. The Santa Ana winds blow westward across Southern California and can be at their worst in October. The Diablo winds blow northeast across Northern California and can be at their worst in October. The New York Times reports that this year's fire season hasn't been as bad as it has been for the previous 2 years, but that's little comfort to those witnessing the flames flare up.
This is speed in which these flames have spread. Even just last hour when we were talking, this whole hillside just behind me was completely engulfed in flames. You see at this point, it is smoldering, and that's because as you look at the direction of this smoke here, it's moving west-southwest. You can already see it has moved on further into the hillside, burning fresh new vegetation. And again, there are homes located throughout this hillside, and of course that is why we have seen mandatory evacuations up and down throughout this area as well. One of the other things that we've been looking for that has changed over the course of the past hour, we heard from Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti, who says they are going to have CAL FIRE planes come through to basically drop fire retardant to help spot some of these fires. And just within the past 20 minutes, we have seen those planes circling this area and really disappearing over the backside of this ridge here, likely dropping fire retardant onto some of the homes below. This is a fire that started 4:30 a.m. Eastern time, just in a matter of hours ballooned to more than 500 acres. And based on the conditions today, we're going to have to see how fast it moves from there.
10-second trivia. A recession is said to occur when gross domestic product shrinks for 2 consecutive what? Years, months, quarters, or weeks? Generally, a shrinking GDP for 2 quarters in a row constitutes a recession, though one could be called for a different time period. Doesn't seem like ongoing protests in Hong Kong are going to stop anytime soon, but they have put the brakes on the city's economy. It's believed to be on the brink of an official recession. The demonstrators have been calling for more democracy and speaking out against the government in this special administrative region of China. The local government has met one of their demands, but they've made 5 of them. And though there's division in Hong Kong over whether to support the ongoing protests, their effects are being felt throughout the city.
Hong Kong is headed for recession. 5 months of mass demonstrations, sometimes in popular tourist areas, often ending in violence, are taking a toll on the city's economy. The government here saying it expects to report negative growth for the 3rd quarter on Thursday. That would be the 2nd consecutive quarter of economic decline, which means Hong Kong is in a technical recession. Hong Kong had already been hit with a 1-2 punch of the U.S.-China trade war and China's slowing economic growth. A political crisis that hurts tourism and retail industries isn't helping. Scenes of violence and tear gas have scared off many tourists. The number of visitors to Hong Kong fell nearly 40% in the 3rd quarter over the previous year, and hotels are on average only 2/3 full. Some protesters have targeted shops and restaurants they view as unsympathetic to their cause, smashing windows and spraying graffiti storefronts, leaving employees to clean up the mess. And some shops have had to close early simply because workers need to get home. Hong Kong subway has been operating on reduced hours to repair damage caused by protesters. Hong Kong government expected to report official estimates for GDP on Thursday. Charisse Pham, CNN, Hong Kong.
While events in Hong Kong are hurting tourism there, Chinese planners are hoping a new airport will help increase visits to the mainland. Just before 8 o'clock on Sunday morning, a flight took off from Dashing International near the Chinese capital, and it headed for Bangkok, Thailand. It was the very first international flight from the new airport. Dashing International has been nicknamed the Starfish for its unique design. It has 5 concourses connected to a main hall. It was built because the city's other international airport, Beijing Capital, is the second busiest aviation hub on the planet, and it was hitting full capacity. The new hub will give travelers another gateway in and out of China.
There's a peaceful serenity to this space. Nice little walkway that takes you over a koi pond. Not what you think about when you think about the chaos that often comes with air travel. This is one of 5 what they're calling China Gardens at the brand new Beijing Dashing Airport. It's just opened up to the public, and it's the high-tech features that everyone is really talking about. So let's take you inside, show you them. This is the International Concourse. It's one of 5 concourses that they have here. And what really you feel as soon as you step into Dashing is the sleek modern design. This was done by the late architect Zaha Hadid. But what officials are really touting about this airport is the technology. As soon as you walk in, right when you're checking in your bag, facial recognition starts. It continues as you're walking through security. Security that they say is a lot quicker and more efficient because of technology. They didn't go into too much detail about that. But the facial recognition technology continues as you're in, ready to board at your gate. They've got screens that are taking in your image, and they continue all the way up until you go through and board your plane. One of the big takeaways of Dashing is the size. It is massive. They estimate 97 soccer pitches, or about 100 American football fields, if you will, could fit inside. So when you think about the size of an airport, you think about getting around, right? That's always a challenge, especially if you have, say, arrived here at E85 and you've got to get to another concourse. The argument is that because it's this starfish shape, that essentially you can go from one tentacle and get to the main center, they argue, in about 8 minutes time. That's what they say it'll take on average. So they say this is really going to be a time saver ultimately. But overall, it's this newness that you feel, this high-tech surrounding, and that's something that they say continues even on the runway. The officials here say they have a sensor system that can detect 2 centimeters of an object, of debris that might be on the runway, and they can then zoom in with multiple cameras to see where exactly it's located. So high-tech is all over this place. All of this coinciding with the 70th anniversary of the founding of Communist China. In fact, to inaugurate this new airport, President Xi Jinping himself was here. He had a crowd that was gathered of dignitaries, a lot of airport officials, as they began this new chapter in air travel right here in Beijing. Ultimately, Beijing is expected to have the most number of air travelers and passengers coming through this city than anywhere else in the world. David Culver, CNN, Beijing.
Sure, there are a lot of satellites, but it's not like they just fall out of the sky. Here's what a couple in Michigan found in their yard last weekend. It appears to be Samsung's Space Selfie Satellite, a stunt that was intended to allow people to get their face in space. It was also intended to be up there until the end of the month, but Samsung says weather conditions resulted in a, quote, early soft landing. The Michigan couple was thankful their horses weren't out and that it didn't hit their house. And they said the satellite's smartphone was still working, so at least that's not a total piece of space junk. Also, it survived the dropped out of the sky test. After a not-so-satellite landing, it could have been in ore bits and pieces, and at least they know where it came from, so they didn't have to investigate them selfies. I'm Carl Azus, and that's CNN 10.